Hey, moi, salut, and welcome to this new video. My name is Louise, and for the past 4 years I've been living in 6 different countries. So in Finland, in Italy, in France, in Germany, in Spain, and lately in Iceland. So in this video I'm going to present to you the different things I noticed in Iceland that were shocking, unique, different, or very interesting, and I will compare it to my own culture because I'm French, and also to the culture or the habits I used to have in the countries I've lived in. So this video is only about my own perspective, my own point of view, so you might differ, have a different opinion, which is completely normal, and maybe you might learn some things. So shall we begin now? Number one, the weather and the seasons. So as you may know, Iceland was not always a Christian country. It used to be a pagan one. I'm not sure it's the right term, but I think it is. So they were following the Old North calendar, which is dividing the year in 2 seasons, in winter and summer. So still nowadays you have some celebration according to this calendar, and you have, for example, a celebration on the first day of summer, which is during the 20th or 21st of April, and you have also a celebration for the first day of winter, and I think it's in October, but I'm not sure. And the particularity of Iceland is that you can understand why there are only 2 seasons there, because during the winter time you have the days getting shorter and shorter and you have endless night, but at least you have northern lights in this part of the world. But in summer you have the days getting longer and longer, and you have what we call the midnight sun, meaning that you have the sun that is not setting and is still up in the air at midnight, which is super great when you want to travel in Iceland. Regarding the weather, well, in Iceland we have this saying, if you don't like the weather, just wait for 5 minutes. And it's really something you will quickly understand here, because the weather is changing so quickly. You will quickly notice that there is a lot of wind in Iceland, so it's not all the time, all day long. It's changing a lot, but you have a lot of wind and it can be very strong, like it's the strongest wind I've felt in my life. And especially in winter, you have like really huge storms and you cannot even go to your car to work or whatever. So the number 2 is the nature. So I had to mention this because the nature in Iceland is just astonishing, mesmerizing, surprising, beautiful, incredible. Basically, it's something you will never see anywhere, I think. I've been to Iceland for 6 months, and you can expect that in 6 months I had time to do everything in the island. And while I did see most of it, really, but in the end when I left I realized that there were so many places I still didn't see and wanted to see. If you go there for holidays, you can manage to see all the main spots, I would say, in 10 days. It would be perfect if you have a van or something. 10 days it's fair enough, but there are so many hidden gems, hidden places that are absolutely beautiful, like really, and you have so many different landscapes in the same place, and that's the most surprising thing. Like you have icebergs and then you have a volcano right next to it. It's crazy. It's not everywhere that you can see volcanoes, and I think in Iceland it's every 5 to 10 years you have a volcano being active again. But even at the moment you have many active volcanoes. It's just that they are quite calm at the moment, but they can enter into eruption at any time. And also something I noticed about the nature in Iceland is that when you land, usually you land in Keflavik, which is the international airport in Iceland that is like 45 minutes away from Reykjavik. But when you land, you can see there are no trees, and it's something that really shocked me, because I don't know what I was expecting when I came to Iceland. I think I was not expecting anything, but when I arrived it felt like everything was just a huge desert, like no trees, absolutely no trees. So I learned that when the first settlers arrived there were much more trees, but they cut them at a certain level that they could not grow back. So at the moment in Iceland they are struggling to make the ground fertile to be able to grow like some trees everywhere. Even for the wind is better to, you know, block a little bit the wind. So at least in the west part of the island I would say you don't have so many trees, like, or even no trees at all. But when you go to the east you can see more, or some at least. So the number 3 are the animals. So in Iceland I saw many animals I never seen in my life before. So it feels pretty exotic because there are not so many animals in the island, and I learned a lot about them for my work. So first of all you have the Arctic fox. They are super cute, so they are the only predator you can find in the island, and they are not scary at all. They are like small foxes, so cute, extremely cute. They are also the only mammal native from the island, which is crazy. They have been there for thousands of years, even before the first settlers arrived in Iceland. Then you have seals. I think in Iceland you have mainly two types of seals, the grey seals and harbour seals. You can see them in many places of the island. And then you have the whales. There are up to 23 different species in the Icelandic waters. Most of the species are coming to Iceland only during the summer to hunt, because the Icelandic waters are basically the perfect mix of cold waters meeting warm waters. So it's perfect place for those whales to hunt. And during the winter, most of them are going more to the equator, so they can breed there. You have many different types of whales, and it's absolutely stunning to watch them. So I would highly recommend you to go on a whale watching tour, because in Iceland I think all the companies are respecting like a chart to make sure they respect the environment of the whales. They don't disturb them at all. Another animal I was not expecting to see in Iceland was the reindeer. So I saw them in Finland, and I learned there were some in Iceland, but only on the east part of the island, and they have been imported from the first settlers from Norway, and it was super hard for them to make the breed sustainable, but in the end some of the reindeer survive, and from 1,000 reindeer they end up to 7,000 nowadays in Iceland. Then you have the Atlantic puffins that are very famous in Iceland. During the summer they are coming, and Iceland is the world capital for puffin watching actually in summer, with I think more than 60% of the whole population coming to Iceland during the summer. So it's about 8 to 10 millions of puffins that you can observe everywhere in the island and from very close without disturbing them. So if you come to Iceland, you should definitely check them out. But overall, there are many birds in Iceland. I mean, it's an island, it's a piece of land in the middle of the ocean, so you have many birds, many types. And I was even surprised to see ducks on the ocean. Usually in France or the place I've been, they are always on lakes or rivers, but never I saw them in the sea or the ocean. But in Iceland, they do somehow. And there are those birds, I don't know the name in English, but in Icelandic I think it's kría. And those birds are like a nightmare during the summer, because they are breeding next to the roads. So even if you don't want to disturb them, you have to pass by some roads, and they are attacking you. So they are super dangerous and annoying, but it's nature, you have to respect as much as you can. So when you walk and they are kría, always be careful, wear a hood or something, so if they attack you, because usually they attack the top of your head, if you have something, then you're safe. And then you have the Icelandic horses. So they are super cute, they are everywhere in the island, and it's something I really like, is that all the horses are usually all together. It's not just one horse lost in the field and depressed. And don't be surprised, they are very small, but it's because when the first settlers moved to Iceland, the boats, the ships, they were kind of small, so they had to take the strongest and the smallest horses they could from Norway to bring them to Iceland. So those horses are extremely powerful, and it's even illegal to bring any horses from outside of Iceland to Iceland, because they want to keep the breed unique and pure. And also, if an Icelandic horse is leaving Iceland, he cannot go back. And finally, there are the ships. They are super important in the Icelandic culture because they bring food but also warmth. There are more ships in Iceland than human, so you can see them everywhere in the island, and during the whole summer you can see them everywhere. They are roaming around the island freely, completely freely, for the whole summer. And so when you drive there, always be careful, because they usually cross the road like randomly, so always be careful. Number 4, the water. So in Iceland you can drink water from the tap, and it will be one of the cleanest you can drink in your life, because it's free from calcium, chlorine and nitrate, if I'm not wrong. So it's very, very pure. So you don't need to buy plastic bottles, because something unique about Iceland is that you can taste the water from everywhere, meaning that if you're doing a hike, you can stop, and if there is a river or something, you can just fill your bottle there, because the water also is unique in the whole country, in the whole land, in nature itself. So as I mentioned before, Iceland is full of volcanoes and also of geothermal areas. Actually, around Reykjavik you have many geothermal areas, and that's why the Reykjavik has its name. So it means literally the steaming bay, because when the first settlers arrived, they were seeing like this steams coming from land, and they decided to call it this way. So about 90% of the households in Iceland are heated with geothermal water. Especially in Reykjavik, about 80% of the households are heated with the water coming from the geothermal areas around the city. So that's why when you go to Reykjavik, you can sometimes smell this eggy smell, sulfur smell when you take a shower. It's kind of surprising at the beginning when you don't know this. You feel like you're not washing yourself, but yes, you do. It's just the water has this particular smell. So I've got for you 2 tips when you go to Iceland. The first one, if you have jewelry that are in silver, remove them when you take a shower, when you go to a hot spring, because the water is turning it black somehow, but you can fix this if you wash them with toothpaste. And also, if you want to drink hot water, when you need hot water for cooking, just use cold water and then you boil it. Because if you drink hot water that is geothermal hot water, sometimes you can get a little bit sick in the belly. It's not toxic, but it's just to avoid for you to be sick or have some inconvenience for no reason. So usually we always make the water run a little bit, like few seconds when you use water, even cold one, to be sure that the hot water is evacuating from the pipes. So still connected with the water, the number 5 is the hot spring. So it's really part of the Icelandic culture. You can find hot spring kind of everywhere in the island because of the geothermal activity in the whole island. So there are many places where you can just drive around and then you will see kind of a bath where you can dip in, and the water is about 40 degrees and it's super nice. It's one of my favorite activity in Iceland, really, to try to find some hot spring in nature and to go there and relax. It's just like a great experience you can have when you go to Iceland, and I highly recommend it. And otherwise you can extend this activity to the city. So there are many spas in Iceland when you can experience this hot geothermal water, and especially you have swimming pools, like public swimming pools everywhere. Even in the smallest town you will find in the island, you have like a swimming pool where you can experience this. I would say going to the swimming pool is like going to the sauna in Finland. It's a place where you socialize, where you talk with your family or see your friends, where you just relax and talk to nobody if you don't want. It's really kind of like the sauna, because they're also doing the hot and cold. In Finland we were doing hot, very hot sauna, about 80, 90, 100 degrees. And then we were running to deep in the frozen lake or in the snow directly. In Iceland it's kind of the same. You have like those very warm pools, and you have also the very cold ones, about 2 or 4 degrees, or sometimes you have directly some hot spring right next to the ocean, so you can run to the ocean and come back to the hot spring. It's super good for your immune system, for your blood system, because you're making like running your blood from your heart to your extreme members and back and forth, and it's like super good for your health. So the number 6 is the living cost. So living in Iceland is expensive. You need to know this, and also going there for holidays will be crazy expensive for you, but it will be 1000% worth it. So the rent is extremely expensive in Iceland. It's the most expensive rent I ever seen in my life. Like really, I was paying about 600 euros for a room in a shared flat, and it's the cheapest option you can go for. And also, as you can expect it, since it's an island, you have to import everything. So when you go to the groceries, everything is expensive too, and you don't have so much choice. You don't have only the food that is expensive, you also have the alcohol. And it's the most expensive I ever seen in my whole life. And I was living in Finland, and in Finland it was crazy expensive for me. But then I saw Iceland, and Iceland is a whole new level. So first of all, you cannot buy alcohol everywhere at the grocery shop like we do in France or Spain or Italy. You have to go to a specialized store. So in Finland they were Alko, and in Iceland they have Vinbudin. To give you some numbers, for example, a bottle of vodka, like I would say 75 centiliters of vodka, in France you will pay about 10 to 15 euros. In Finland I was paying about 20 euros, and in Iceland you can easily spend between 40 to 60 euros in that kind of bottle. But at the same time, you have higher salaries to compensate the fact that the cost of living is super high. And also, in addition to the salary, you also have energies and water that are super cheap in Iceland. And it's really common that you always have a light always on in every house in Iceland. I don't know why Icelandic people, they always do this. Like even in summer when we have the midnight sun, you always have like one lamp in the living room that stays always on. Because it's so cheap for them that they don't even think about it like at all. So the number 7 is driving in Iceland. So for the first time in 4 years, I was having a car where I was living, so it was really new for me, but super convenient, because if you come to Iceland, you will need a car. If you think you can take the bus to go everywhere in the island, no, we don't have trains in Iceland, we only have buses, and the buses are not going everywhere in the island, and when they do, it's super long, like super, super long. But then you need to know some rules kind of, or some tips when you come here to drive. You need to know some things about the Icelanders' behavior because they don't drive the most safely in the world, let's say. Like they usually drive very fast compared to the normal speed limit. And then they pass you by the right, so usually you have to pass car by the left, but they do by the right. And I think they don't know how to use signals. Yeah, they don't tell you when they turn or whatever they are doing. They like to keep it private, I think, or something. So yeah, you need to be careful when you drive there, because sometimes the Icelanders, they are very random. And tourists also can be dangerous because they are not used to the road, so they are usually more cautious than they are dangerous. And finally, about the roads in Iceland is that you have the ring road, which is the road that is doing the whole circle around the island, and then apart from this road you usually have communal, F roads, gravel roads, and they are not always open during the year because it depends. Sometimes it's just the owner of the land that needs to take care of the road, or it's the community, like the city, or it's like the government. So it depends who is in charge and who is going to keep it clean during winter with the snow and everything. So not everything is open in Iceland. Usually in summer everything is accessible, so you just need a 4x4 if you want to go on gravel roads or F roads, but you have like a website to check it. The number 8 is international. So it means everything and nothing at the same time. So basically when I arrived to Reykjavik, I was kind of surprised because the city really feels like you're in an Erasmus city, because everybody's speaking different languages, but at the same time everybody's speaking English together. So it's very unique impression. So just to say that there are a lot of foreigners in Iceland, and I think about 10% of the population is only Polish people. They are like the highest foreigner population in Iceland, but you have like people from everywhere. And Icelanders are speaking fluently English. So I feel like it's kind of like all Nordic countries, they have been raised learning English super well. So even the oldest people, they can speak English. Sometimes they struggle a little bit, but you can really manage to understand them, because in France, nobody speaks English that well. The older people, they don't speak English at all. So it's very nice. But something that you need to know is that when you work and live in Iceland, sometimes when you have to encounter Icelanders, they expect you to speak Icelandic. And when you don't, it can happen that sometimes you have some remarks like, why are you not speaking Icelandic while you live here? And which I completely understand, because when you come to a new country, you have to learn and everything. But in 6 months, it's rather difficult to learn fluently a language like Icelandic. Which leads to number 9, the language. So the Icelandic language is very unique, very special, very tough to learn. There are some words I felt like they were very close to Finnish, because when I was living in Finland, I learned a little bit of Finnish. For example, you have the word church, that in Finnish is kirkko, and in Icelandic is kirkja. It's very close, but it's just few words, because then it's nothing alike. Even the pronunciation and the letters are very different. And I would say that Icelandic is closer to Norwegian. I think that even the language like Old North, that is the original language kind of in Nordic countries, is closer to Icelandic. So yeah, it's pretty difficult to learn Icelandic because of the pronunciation. For example, Finnish for me was easier to learn because you literally pronounce every letter. Like there is no trap or anything. It's very easy to learn. Icelandic, you have some letters that are new, that are very unique to the Icelandic alphabet, let's say. So you have to learn and master those letters, such as the kind of P, looks like a P, but the pronunciation in English would be TH. The double L is TL, TL, Fingvetlir. Or I don't know what else, when you have a H with a L, like Klimur, Klinur, is like difficult to pronounce. I still didn't manage it properly. So I was not following any classes of Icelandic, but I was working in the tourism industry. So I was learning kind of Icelandic step by step by learning first of all the name of the places to understand the pronunciation, and it took me quite some time to master it. And then eventually when you start learning all those places, you start to understand what is the meaning of those places. For example, when you have foss at the end of a word, it means waterfall. So Skogafoss, Skvernufoss, Seljalandsfoss, or you understand that it's waterfall. And then you try to understand what is the beginning, if it's like I don't know, something meaningful, like Gullfoss, which is like a golden waterfall, for example, Gullfoss. I mean, it's tricky. Or Jökull, you understand that it's like a glacier. It's interesting. It just takes some time to master this language. And the last point is the number 10, the Icelanders. So I don't have much things to say about Icelanders. They are very nice people. They tend to not mingle so much. They stay between each other, I would say, which I understand again. But they are nice people, very accessible, very friendly, and they are huge party people also. So something you need to know, they like to party a lot and hard. It's difficult because I would say there are some things that they are details, but I noticed and didn't quite enjoy so much. And I don't know if it's applicable to all the Icelanders or very few that I met or something, but I would say they are kind of greedy. I don't know if it's the right word, but like money is money, business is business, you know. So yeah, like some people I encountered, not all of them, but some people I encounter, Icelanders, like profit is everything, but people is nothing. So it's something I didn't like so much. And sometimes they tend to put like Icelanders first and not foreigners. But again, I can understand it because it's their country. So I understand you're just welcome, kind of, even though you live there and work there. They are hosting you. So there are some stuff I can understand, to be honest. So something I didn't like so much was the dating culture. So Icelanders are very straightforward, very direct, let's say. And I was not like prepared for this. So they're very direct, and it usually happens that you have like a one night stand with someone, straightforward, like directly. And then eventually you figure it out if you want to start dating that person and learn that person and build something with that person. I would say in France it can be like this, but it can also be like more traditional way, and like first you start to learn the person, to, you know, dating, doing things together, and then eventually something might happen in the future, but not the opposite, you know. So it's strange, but it's like this, and it's just normal. It's like pretty common, and yeah, I mean, it's unique. And also the app, like dating app, are huge. Like it's very used and very common there. You also have an app in Iceland where you can verify if the person you want to date is related to you or not. Because yeah, Iceland was not so open to the world before, and they were like just staying together, so it can happen that sometimes you were related. So it happens. Nowadays way less because there are a lot of international couples, you know, Icelanders with foreigners. It's pretty common. But yeah, this app exists. And also because Iceland is an island, it's not very huge, and mainly all the population is living in the capital area. The population is about, I think, 350,000 inhabitants in the whole island, so it's like the population of my city in the south of France. So everybody knows everybody somehow, or knows like someone related to, or the ex of someone, or the friend of someone. Like in the end, everybody knows everybody, so it's super strange because eventually you will end up seeing the same people at the same parties, or I don't know how to explain. It's big, but at the same time not. It's strange. Then I noticed that some of them are getting engaged pretty young and having kids very young. Like it's very common to have kids young, I think, there. And it's something I noticed also in Finland. And I think it's way less like this in the southern Europe, let's say. So they don't do surnames in Iceland. They take the name of the dad and at the end they add son or dóttir. So which can be translated directly to son and daughter. So let's say that my dad's name is Ragnar. So my family name will be Ragnarsdóttir, which literally means the daughter of Ragnar. And if I had a brother, his name would be Ragnarsson. So literally the son of Ragnar. So it's very different because in France we have, like, I think almost everywhere in the world we have like surnames. So usually in France you take the surname of your dad. Nowadays we can also take the mother's name or we can combine both of them. But there is something I noticed is that sometimes the parents are not very creative in Iceland, meaning that the dad names will be Ragnar Einarsson, let's say, so the son of Einar. But when he will have a kid, they sometimes call the kid like Ragnar again. So there are many people that are like Ragnar Ragnarsson or David Davidsson or Einar Einarsson. Like the parents are not creative. I'm sorry, Icelanders, I'm sorry, but you're not creative. You could imagine a new name or something for your kid, you know, to not have the same name and surname. And the last thing I noticed about Icelanders is that almost all of them, they have tattoos. It's like super common and you can really spot it when you go to the swimming pool, public pools and things like this. Everybody has tattoos, like it's super, super common. Well, I think I've said enough. I mentioned all the main points I had in mind. Of course, there is so much more than just this, but I advise you to come to Iceland to visit and see by yourself because this country is incredible, and if you have time and budget and the occasion to come, you should definitely come. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you learned some stuff out or it was at least interesting, and see you in the next one. Bye.